In Hollow Man, the genius Sebastian Kane found the key to becoming God, the invisibility serum. But as the body vanishes, his humanity dissipates with it. He is no longer a colleague. He becomes a monster stalking right in the bathroom, right next to the bed, breathing down your neck. But you cannot see him. How can you survive against a killer, completely invisible? At a scientific research facility operating under military authorization, a mouse accidentally strayed into an iron cage searching for food and water. However, instead of finding food, it became the victim of a predator invisible to the naked eye. This ferocious, invisible creature only revealed its true form when the fresh blood of the mouse stained its sharp teeth red. At another location, Dr. Sebastian is working late at his private apartment to perfect the formula to reverse the invisibility process. He pauses work for a moment to watch an attractive neighbor in the opposite building changing clothes. Sebastian's excited anticipation quickly turns to disappointment when the woman pulls the bedroom curtains shut. While pacing around the apartment, he suddenly came up with a breakthrough idea, so he immediately tested that hypothesis on the computer. Right after that, he called his colleague and ex-girlfriend, Linda, to announce his latest success. Through the video call, he spotted a man in Linda's bed and asked for that person's identity. But Linda turned the camera away, asserting that her love life was no longer Sebastian's concern. After presenting the new formula to Linda, he requested her to contact colleague Matt to prepare the gorilla Isabel for a live test. After hanging up, Linda woke Matt up and told him they needed to go to the lab immediately because Sebastian had finally found the reversal solution. Linda advised him that they should travel in separate cars to keep their romantic relationship hidden from Sebastian. Matt implied that they would have to tell Sebastian the truth at some point, so Linda comforted him that she would discuss that another day. When they arrived, Matt went straight to Isabel's cage to sedate the invisible gorilla, but before he could inject the drug, the animal scratched him and escaped the cage. As Matt chased the monkey, he accidentally bumped into Sebastian in the hallway. After snatching the tranquilizer gun, Sebastian started a $10 bet, declaring that he would be the one to catch Isabel first. When the gorilla was cornered, Matt fired the tranquilizer but missed the target. Sebastian immediately followed up with another shot and hit the mark, causing the animal to collapse unconscious. Veterinarian Sarah suddenly barged in and questioned Sebastian about injecting the new formula into Isabel without prior verification. Sebastian reasoned that skipping testing steps would save them a ton of time. Linda interrupted the argument to announce that the lab was fully prepared. After monitoring Isabel's vital signs, Sarah sprayed dye on the monkey's arm and patted it to prepare for the injection. When Matt intended to inject the serum into Isabel, Sebastian snatched the syringe from Matt's hand, saying this honor must belong to him. Right after injection, the serum flowed through the monkey's veins and went straight to the heart. The group watched in amazement as Isabel's internal organs gradually became visible. However, the gorilla began to struggle in pain as blood pressure and heart rate skyrocketed. Very quickly after that, the monkey went into cardiac arrest and the heart rate monitor flatlined, forcing Linda to use the defibrillator multiple times. Sebastian ordered Matt to perform an injection straight into the heart when seeing no response. But before Matt could act, the monkey's heart started beating again. When the condition stabilized, Isabel's body slowly became completely visible before everyone's eyes. The research team celebrated the brilliant achievement with dinner at a high-end restaurant. During a private moment with Linda, Sebastian brought up their broken romance and implied that he wanted to reconcile with her. However, his hope of rekindling the old love was soon extinguished when he saw her pull back as he tried to kiss her. A few days later, Sebastian met with the Oversight Committee at the Pentagon to report his findings. But Linda and Matt were extremely surprised to hear Sebastian lie to them that he had failed to reverse the process. Sebastian told the committee that the research team was close to finding a solution, but they still needed a little more time. Dr. Kramer, Sebastian's former teacher, praised his talent and determination, but he warned Sebastian that the government could easily replace him if he did not produce results soon. Sebastian told Linda and Matt that he was not ready to let the military know about their success, fearing the government would take over the project as soon as they reported it. Sebastian proposed conducting human trials without notifying the government. Matt reminded him of the rules and procedures to follow, but Sebastian argued that following the rules would get them nowhere. Sebastian assured them that they would have a better chance of winning a Nobel Prize by holding on to this project themselves. Upon returning to the lab, Sebastian announced to the group that they had been cleared for human testing because he himself had volunteered. Sensing everyone's anxiety, Sebastian reminded them that they had successfully brought 7 monkeys back to normal over the past 4 weeks. He emphasized that human trials would be the next logical step if they wanted to maintain this project. According to the procedural plan, Sebastian would stay in the invisible state for 3 days before performing the reversal. On the day of the procedure, Matt told Sebastian that he could still back out, but Sebastian was determined to become the first human test subject for his work. On the operating table, Sebastian took the serum from Linda, declaring he would inject himself so Linda would not be responsible if something went wrong. Immediately after pumping the serum into his veins, Sebastian began to feel tingling in his arm. He suddenly struggled violently in pain as the skin layer started to dissolve away. Seeing the unstable heart rate, Carter, the emergency medical technician, immediately brought the defibrillator to the operating table. But before they could administer the shock, his heart rate began to stabilize again even as he was writhing in pain. Before long, Sebastian lost consciousness while his body gradually became completely invisible. After 17 hours, Sebastian finally woke up. Overwhelmed by the bright light, Sebastian told Linda to turn off the lights, noting that he could no longer close his eyelids. Linda pointed out that Sebastian could still see through them when closing his eyes because they were now transparent. Sebastian immediately went to the mirror to check if he was truly invisible. Then, he went with Matt and Linda to the lab to let the whole group admire his invisibility. Afterwards, Linda informed Sebastian that one team member would stay on duty in case he needed anything. The rest would be on standby to rush to the lab within 30 minutes. Before leaving, Linda told Sarah that Carter would come to take over the shift at 6 a.m. and she would return at 8 a.m. While Sarah was sleeping, Sebastian approached and stroked her hair, trying to see if she was awake. Not long after, Sebastian began unbuttoning her shirt and touching her inappropriately. When Sarah woke up, she found her shirt open, so she asked if Sebastian was in the room. When she looked at the monitor, Sebastian was not in bed, but he had snuck back and lain down as soon as Sarah turned away. The next morning, Sarah told Linda and Matt about her suspicion that Sebastian had done something to her while she was sleeping. However, Sarah told them not to question Sebastian because she was still unsure of what happened. When Matt asked Sebastian about his absence from the room, Sebastian explained that he just went out to get coffee. 3 days after starting the process, the group prepared to reverse it for Sebastian. After Matt injected the serum, Sebastian started gasping, crying out that something was wrong. Immediately, he struggled on the table and broke the straps, forcing Matt and Carter to rush in to hold him down. However, Sebastian still managed to rise from the table after throwing Carter across the room and kicking Matt in the face. His body appeared for a brief moment, but he quickly fell to the floor and passed out. When they put him back on the operating table, Linda discovered Sebastian had no pulse, so Matt performed CPR. His pulse finally beat again, and his body slowly became invisible once more. When Sebastian woke up a few hours later, Linda told him he had almost died. Sebastian told Linda that he needed to make some adjustments if he still had to remain in the invisible state, so they made a latex mask for him to be presentable when walking around the lab. Over the next few days, Matt desperately sought a way to reverse the process without killing Sebastian. After 10 days of being invisible, Sebastian became frustrated with undergoing multiple tests and being confined in the lab. One night, he decided to sneak out when Carter was the only one on duty at the lab watching him. Unable to stop Sebastian, Carter immediately called the other members to alert them about Sebastian leaving. While driving on the road, he decided to tease 2 children in another car by showing them his empty eye sockets. Linda asked Matt to go to the lab while she checked Sebastian's apartment. When Sebastian returned home, he saw the neighbor in the adjacent building changing clothes. He hesitated, then decided to take advantage of his invisibility and go to the next building to watch the woman at close range. Sebastian rang the bell multiple times until the woman opened the door and stepped out of the room. When she turned back inside, Sebastian watched the woman brush her hair. He then moved the mirrors several times, causing the woman to look around the room in panic. When she turned away, Sebastian began to rape her. Linda soon arrived at Sebastian's apartment and found his mask and clothes on the bed. After satisfying his lust with the neighbor, Sebastian looked out the window and saw Linda in his apartment. He waited until Linda left before returning home. Sebastian soon returned and told them he just went home to get a few items. Linda warned him that she would report directly to the committee if he tried to leave the lab again. Linda told Matt about her concern that invisibility had now begun to affect Sebastian's mind because he had been invisible much longer than the animals. While Carter performed some physical tests on him, Sebastian confessed that he had teased a woman while out, and he liked that feeling. A few days later, Matt called Linda to report that he had made a breakthrough. However, this process was disrupted during a simulation in the lab. Sebastian expressed his frustration to Linda that he could not take advantage of his invisibility, adding that he had become a prisoner at the lab. When Linda told him he was not a prisoner, Sebastian pointed out that Linda was free to go out and be with her boyfriend while he was stuck here. That night, Sebastian took an electronic device from the lab and installed it on the camera in his room to run a loop video of him sleeping in bed. He decided to go to Linda's apartment and discovered she was on a date with Matt. When Matt and Linda started making love, Sebastian smashed the window next to the bed, interrupting them. Linda called the lab to see if Sebastian had escaped, but Frank told her he was in bed. Sebastian returned to the lab, frenzied with jealousy. While pacing around the facility, he was annoyed by the barking of the invisible dog, so he grabbed it and slammed it hard against the cage wall until it died. When Sarah questioned Sebastian about the dead animal, he claimed he was sleeping when it died. After reviewing the footage from the security camera, they concluded that Sebastian never left the room. While Linda was working at home, she was suddenly disturbed by noises around the room, so she ran to the lab to see if Sebastian was there. Linda saw him lying in bed through the video screen, but she did not find him in the room. She realized that he had run a loop video of himself in bed, so she called everyone in the group to return to the lab. Meanwhile, Sebastian walked around the parking lot, observing the research team as they arrived. Matt and Linda went to see Dr. Kramer to report on Sebastian, but they did not know that Sebastian had followed them there. After they left, Sebastian attacked Dr. Kramer by the pool and drowned him. Dr. Kramer called his wife for help, but when she arrived at the pool, he was already dead. When Linda arrived at the lab the next day, she tried to call Dr. Kramer, but discovered he had drowned in the pool the night before. She tried calling another member of the oversight committee, but the phone line was suddenly cut. Matt and Linda tried to leave the lab, but the security system would not let them use the elevator. Soon, the research team learned that their access codes inside the lab had been revoked. As the group began searching for Sebastian, Janice, the lab technician, fell behind as she grabbed a pair of thermal goggles. Sebastian suddenly appeared at the door and strangled her with an IV tube. She screamed, but her voice was drowned out by the cries of the animals in the cages. Unable to reach Kramer, Linda used the intercom system to tell Sebastian that the committee knew what he did. But Sebastian revealed that he had killed Kramer the night before he could tell anyone. Soon, the group realized Janice was missing. Using thermal goggles, they discovered her lifeless body inside a storage cabinet. Linda asked Frank to restore the access codes so they could activate the motion detectors. When they saw someone moving through the hallway, Matt and Carter equipped themselves with tranquilizer guns to find Sebastian while Linda guided them. Carter saw a heat signature behind the pipes, but Matt discovered the heat was coming from a vent. While Matt was not paying attention, Sebastian grabbed Carter while hiding on the ceiling pipes. Matt shot at him, but missed and hit a pipe. As Matt continued firing, Sebastian threw Carter against the wall. Carter hit the corner of a metal box next to the pipe, severing his aorta and causing massive blood loss. Sebastian surrounded himself with steam radiating from the pipes, rendering Matt's thermal goggles useless. After running out of tranquilizers, Matt grabbed a fire extinguisher to use against Sebastian. With the smoke from the extinguisher, Matt could see Sebastian, but he still struggled to hit him. Sebastian knocked Matt to the ground with a punch and a kick, but Linda arrived to pull him to safety. Sarah knew Carter had lost a lot of blood, so she grabbed a few blood bags from the giant walk-in freezer. Before she could return to Carter, Sebastian locked her in, so she splashed blood on the floor to see Sebastian's footprints. She managed to splash blood on Sebastian, but he tackled her and shot her with the tranquilizer gun. Not satisfied with knocking Sarah unconscious, Sebastian snapped her neck, killing her instantly. Carter soon died from excessive blood loss, while Frank waited for Sarah to return. Frank left Carter's body and went with Matt and Linda to find Sarah. When they discovered her body in the freezer, Sebastian appeared and stabbed Frank with a crowbar. Then, Sebastian stabbed Matt with a metal rod in the lower chest and locked him and Linda in the freezer. Sebastian returned to the room to put on his mask and prepare to leave the lab. Linda bandaged Matt's wound with duct tape and escaped the freezer using a magnetized metal drawer handle. Then, she dragged Matt out of the freezer and started a fire to warm him up. Meanwhile, Sebastian collected some chemicals to create explosives to blow up the lab and cover up his crimes. He placed the chemicals in a centrifuge and set a timer for 5 minutes before heading to the elevator. When he reached the elevator, Linda intercepted him and burned him with a flamethrower. She slid onto the floor to stop the elevator door from closing and continued firing fire at Sebastian. After stepping out of the elevator, Sebastian slowly peeled off the scorched clothes, rendering himself invisible again. Linda used the remaining fuel in the flamethrower to activate the fire sprinklers. Sebastian snuck up behind and subdued her, but Matt arrived to rescue her, knocking Sebastian down with a crowbar. Sebastian tried to hit Matt with the crowbar, but Matt fought back, causing him to crash into the fuse box. As Sebastian was electrocuted, His body became partially visible. Matt and Linda discovered the homemade bomb Sebastian had made, so they ran to the elevator, hoping to climb the ladder out. As they climbed up, the homemade bomb exploded, propelling the elevator upward, grazing Linda's shoulder. The elevator was then pulled back down, but stopped just before hitting Matt. As they started climbing the ladder again, Sebastian pulled Linda down. Linda and Sebastian fell onto the roof of the elevator, which was now hanging by a single thick cable. As Linda tried to escape, Sebastian stole a final kiss, telling her it was for old time's sake. While they kissed, Linda grabbed the cable holding the elevator and used her foot to unlatch it. Linda held onto the cable as she watched Sebastian fall down the elevator shaft and die. Linda and Matt soon escaped the burning building as firefighters rushed to extinguish the fire. The movie ends. Goodbye and see you again.